This tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 6,800 spotting damage in this game. This line of tanks, the AMX 1390 and the 1375 and 1357, is one of my favorite lines of tanks. This is one of my absolute favorite tanks to play in the game right now. I'm really looking forward to leveling it up to the AMX 13105. You can see that as I came out here, I could have taken the higher bush, but I decided to go deeper into enemy territory. And this position, you'd think that it's safe, but you do have to be careful because I'm deeper in enemy territory. The enemy usually thinks that I wouldn't be here, so they might try and scout this area out. So it's very dangerous. You got to be ready to leave at a moment's notice. You can see that we've got a lot of allied tanks on my side. And there we've got the first tank. Because I'm closer, I can spot the tanks more easily than if I had taken up the position in the E1 area. See, I've already gotten 1,400 spotting damage on those tanks. 1,900 spotting damage. So we've already softened them up a lot. My only wish is that we had been able to soften them up more. You can see that there's an enemy LTTB who is right there. He took some hits. He didn't spot me. I'm already up to 3,800 spotting damage. It's only been 2 minutes in the game. There's an UDES that showed up. You want to keep your gun pointed towards an enemy tank. If you have the crew skill designated target, it will keep that enemy lit for an additional 2 seconds. Got 4,400 spotting damage. Now the problem you have here is that it's going to be difficult to spot enemy tanks because I can't spot all the way to the red line from this position. I'd either have to move forward to a different bush or I would have to rush the field. The problem that I have is if I rush the field, my allies might still be out of range for hitting any tanks that I might spot. So you can see that I was spotted. I decided to rush the field to try and spot whatever I can. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm hoping my allies are going to take shots at anything that I find. You want to go all the way to the red line. The more you go to the red line, the more likely, the safer you are. So I got up to 6,800 spotting damage in this game. There might even be a little bit more. When you die, any tank that you spotted is going to be spotted for 8 to 10 seconds. So you still will get spotting damage even if you die. Okay, so that's the game. I just wanted to show you how I do it. Let's move on to the next video. This tank is a T-54 lightweight. This is a Russian Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 6,800 spotting damage. I'm working on the mission, which is LT-15, the Aggressive Recon Specialist. To get 8,000 spotting damage, the prize is an Object 260. I'm going to be 300 damage short of accomplishing it in this game. Now you'll notice that I like to take an aggressive position, so if I don't spot anybody, I'm going to keep on going, and I'm going to take this more advanced bush. Make sure you're fully within the bush. Check the front to make sure that I'm not too far. Make sure that my rear doesn't expose too much. And then just sit here and don't touch anything and hope to not get spotted. Now, one of the things that could happen in the game, for example, you have this Object 277. There's a chance that he might come close to that ridge or even go over the ridge. Because what happens in the game is that if you're hidden well and you're spotting, people sometimes assume that there's no one spotting on my team, so they think that they can come out here. So there is a threat that they will come here because I'm too far into enemy territory. The enemy will think it's safe when it's really not. The reason why I'm going to be 300 short at the end of the game is because at the end of the game, I'm forgetting to switch to the APCR, not paying close enough attention to the remaining hit points, not realizing that I was close to 8,000, and I should have played a little bit more carefully because I only needed 300 more. So I screwed that up at the end of the game. Now the Waffenträger, he's going to make a mistake. Eventually he's going to try and poke out because there's a bush over where the Waffenträger is that he's going to try and use. And that's the position I'm talking about with this Object 277. He's going to come up on that ridge occasionally, and he's going to be a threat. He's going to get close to me. The other thing you want to do is you want to know where the enemy light tanks are. If there's enemy light tanks that are playing on your side, for example, there's an HWK, he's playing in the midfield, so he's not a threat. You want to make sure that they're not playing on your side of the field. Now that's where the Waffenträger makes his mistake. Tries to make it into that bush. Got spotted. Unfortunately, we lost our FV215B. I'm up to 2,800 spotting damage. When someone on your side gets killed, I don't know if that FV was on my side, but you'll notice that it said that the ISU-152 killed him, and that means that the ISU-152 is a hidden threat that hasn't been spotted yet. Might be on my side of the field. So the Charioteer is doing a smart thing. He's trying to take up a good position. He's going a little bit too far. He should have stopped. He went way too far. He should have stopped at that row of bushes over there, or at this row of bushes next to me. He went too far and exposed himself, but he also exposed the enemy. Okay, now I've identified that the ISU-152 is west, and it's possible that I did it because I saw that he may have killed a Charioteer. I missed the messages, so I alerted to my team to another tank that is on our side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 3 tanks that we don't know where they are. There could be potentially 3 more tanks on our side of the field. Now that my team is advancing and no one's shooting at them, that tells me that it might be safe for me to advance. So at some point I'm going to advance and I'm going to stay low. Skoda's out of the game. Now somebody's shooting at the Jagdtiger. I don't know what direction the shots are coming from. I'm up to 4,600 spot damage. Jagdtiger fired his gun, but nobody was spotted. Now, the smart thing to do is to head all the way to the red line. And the reason why is because if I'm on that red line, the enemy has to turn his gun all the way around in order to shoot at me. And they're not always going to do that. So I go all the way to the red line. Now, we've got this tank right here, the IS-3, to worry about. The ISU-152 was taken out of the game. And we've got this Object 277 over here. Look where his gun is pointing. He's pointing his gun apparently at the T-30. So this IS-3 did turn his gun around. However, we've got plenty of guns in the back here. Unfortunately, the Kanonen Jagdpanzer and the Waffenträger and the T-26E5 are out of range. Or actually, you know what? Are they out of range? They're out of range for hitting this IS-3. The Jagdtiger is within range, and so is the Scorpion, and I'm really relying on those tanks, and those tanks don't realize how much danger I am. I've got a full health IS-3, just lost the Jagdtiger. You'll notice that the IS-3 is not a very good player. He's going to be taking hits, but he's not a good player. He's going to be flubbing a lot of his shots. I tried to get around behind him. You can see he's not driving very well. I should have switched to the APCR. He missed an easy shot. So I was taken out by either a Scorpion G or the GW Tiger. At this point, I was 300 or 300 hit points shy of completing LT-15, the Aggressive Recon Specialist. The only thing I could have done, the IS-3 was defeated, was get out of there quickly. So I guess it wasn't completely my fault. The enemy did kill me. Let's move on, see what happens. I'm going to fast forward it. Fast forward it more. Okay, look how close the Scorpion G was right next to me. And he wasn't spotted. And that's the game. So I got 6,800 spotting damage. I did 915 damage with my gun. Combined, I did around 7,700, 300 shy of the LT-15. This tank is the Sheridan. This is an American Tier 10 light tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 5,200 spotting damage in this game. So if you're curious about this tank, about the Sheridan, is it a good tank? To be honest, I don't like playing it. I would rather play the T-49. Once I complete the mission for the LT-15, for the Object 260, I might dump this tank and go back to playing the T-49 as my top tier tank. This tank is a little bit difficult to drive. And by being difficult to drive, it's just not fun to play. It's a little clunky and clumsy. So you can see I approached this area. It looks like I'm going to make it without being spotted. Looking for a good position. Going to check my coverage to make sure that I'm not exposed. We've spotted one tank. Now there is a risk that I could still be spotted because obviously tanks can get close to me. There are a lot of tanks in the midfield. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus 8, 9, 10, 11. That means there's 4 tanks that are unspotted in this game. So I don't expect a lot of them to be on this side of the map. I've already got 910 spotting damage. You'll notice that that tank, the Object 260, is beyond my spotting range, so I decided to advance to the next bush, which gives me better coverage to that red line. And the Jagdpanzer was spotted quickly and already has taken damage. But you got to be careful with advancing because you can easily... How do you do that? Okay. You could easily be spotted by tanks like this T-62. So I have to be careful about how I advance. That Jagdpanzer is making a very dumb move. He's unaware of what's going on in the game, and he put himself out in the open. Now the key, as long as someone is spotted, just sit here and wait for him to be taken out of the game. Now, because the T-62A is very close to me, along with the Kranwagen, I have to stay in this position. Very risky for me to move. And I could still be spotted because the back of my tank is sticking out of the bush a little bit. I'm going to show you my front coverage. My rear looks pretty safe. It's probably going to be okay. I got 3,700 spotting damage. The Object 268 just took a hit for 745. I just got 1,000 spotting damage on their Object 268. So somebody finally spotted me and I was taken out of the game. Now, what was funny, when I got spotted, my hands jumped to the keyboard. I as if I was actually playing in the game, and I thought, oh my god, I got to do something. Okay, so that's 4,800 spotting damage in the after game. Results was 5,200 spotting damage. And And the score is 0-3. It's still early in the game. Now, it's early in the game, and you're going to ask yourself, is 5,200 spotting damage worth playing the game, especially considering that I died relatively early in the game? And the answer is yes, because if I were firing my gun, to get 6,000 combined damage is really difficult using your gun alone. So having that kind of spotting damage is definitely worth it. You're definitely doing something for your team to get numbers like that. This tank is a T-54 lightweight. This is a Russian Tier 9 light tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 4,600 spotting damage in this game. And plus you're going to see a new spotting position, which you can use on the east side, which is going to make it very easy to win these games. What I'm trying to do right now is rush the midfield to see where the enemy tanks are going. Unfortunately, there's going to be an enemy tank that's going to have a similar idea to me, which is the AMX 1390. So I had to bail across the railroad tracks. You go through the houses, you got lots of cover. You'll notice that the enemy team hasn't crossed over the bridge in the distance. I'm worried that the AMX 1390 is going to chase after me, so I don't want that to happen. So I decided to bail over the side over here, which I probably didn't have to do. When you go over the side, the only way to get out is to head south again. So I noticed that the enemy tanks did not cross over the rail, or they're going to be very slow to do so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up a spotting position on their side of the field as much as possible. So I got spotted by that AMX 1390. That's the danger of being discovered. Because he discovered me early on in the game, he's harassing me. He's following me around. He's not letting me go into the position that I want. If I hadn't headed for the midfield, I might have been able to get into this position without him knowing. But I'm taking advantage of an opportunity. You can see he dove over the side. There's no way he's going to spot me. So now I have an opportunity to get a good position. I got an edge on him. I've got allies backing me up. The enemy never went over the rail. And if they try to, they're going to fail. So as you can see, there's a lot of obstacles blocking my view. The AMX 1390 is still over the hill, so it is possible that I could advance to a new location. You want to get into cover as much as possible. Yeah, you can see that the AMX 1390 is out of the game, so he's no longer a threat. I can advance closer. We spotted some more tanks. Wherever they think they're going, they're never going to make it there. We have the enemy team on the east side completely pinned down. They're going to be spotted the whole game. They'll fail to advance. They're going to fail to take up any defensive positions. We've got 2 artilleries in the game that are going to be taking them out. Now, I can advance closer to the enemy, but you want to advance at the appropriate time. You can see that that Object 263 crossed over. We want to make sure that everybody that's spotted is taken care of, and will advance when it starts to die down. As long as I can spot one tank from this position, I'm going to remain here. Don't take any chances. They have no idea that I'm here. Take advantage of the position. I'm not going to advance unless I see them all blacked out. Even though I got spotted, I don't have to run because I've got some solid cover and they can't hit me because a lot of these enemy tanks are behind the terrain. I'll be able to roll up into one of these bushes and disappear again. The key is to be unpredictable. Don't let them know what bush I'm going to roll into. You can see that my allies are starting to advance forward. That means that I'm no longer going to be spotting for my team. Score is 9-2. I got 3,900 spotting damage. Now, when you're in the situation when you're out in the open and the enemy's shooting at you, if you go away from them, it's very easy for them to aim at you and to target you and to fire a shot at you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive horizontally, which is perpendicular to them, which increases the chance that they're going to miss me. They won't be able to use the auto aim. They're going to have to aim manually. And the other issue is that the bloom on the reticule is going to constantly be larger. They won't be able to aim in smaller and smaller and smaller because they have to turn their turret. So one of the safest things to do is to drive sideways back and forth. You'll notice that I was turning around in case I had to continue driving sideways in the opposite direction. I'm going to take a quick peek over the side of the rail, see if I spot anything. It is possible to drive over those train cars. I've done it before. Obviously, we've got tanks in front of the M103, so we want to get on his rear flank. He's out of the game. I'm up to 4,500 spotting damage. Go along the red line as much as possible, because now the enemy has to watch a wider area of the field, and it takes him longer to turn his turrets. He can't point his gun in all directions. You want to come from all directions. Score is 14-2. And that's the game. The score was 15-2. It was an easy win. I did 4,600 spotting damage, and I did 500 damage. This tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 3 kills. I'm going to do 2,900 damage, and we're going to have an easy win for our team. Normally, I don't play on this side of the map. Probably looking to try a new spotting position or something that I haven't done in a long time. There's a few different locations you can use. What you really want to do is go as far as possible into these bushes without getting spotted. Unfortunately, I was spotted. Now, what happens if you try to stay in the town, you're going to be a little red dot on the enemy's minimap, and tanks will come looking for you, so you don't want them to know where you are. Looks like I'm still spotted. Or maybe he took a wild shot. I don't know. You can see there are a lot of different positions that you can sit in on this map. But the question is, how much spotting can you do? So the bush that I was heading to when I was spotted by the T-44 would have been a great position. It would have allowed us to keep the enemy team spotted, and they would have been unable to advance easily. So obviously, because I'm spotted, I want to head south. The further south you go, the safer you are, because there actually is a little bit of a slope to the land. I could easily get behind this 252U. Very risky to go after those tanks using the auto-aim. Fortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to climb this. Yeah, I'm sure I would be able to do it with a little bit of practice. But sadly, it's difficult to climb that slope from that side. You have to go around. Score 7-1. I got 1,700 damage, 400 spotting damage. There's 2 enemy SPGs that have not been spotted yet. It's very well possible that they're nearby. I usually go to the red line because in order for the enemy to shoot at you, they have to turn their guns all the way around, and turning them around takes them more time. They're less likely to do it. There's lots of advantages to being as far away from the enemy as possible. Up to 2,400 damage and 650 spotting damage. Normally you don't want to go on the enemy base. Avoid it at all costs because it lets the enemy know where you are. It looks like you are able to pass by with this tank without going on the base, but obviously you can't do it with every tank. Still got a couple tanks that we haven't spotted yet. I decided to leave my shell in the magazine, although I missed my shot. So at the end of the game, there's a mad rush to kill that final tank, and for you to unload your shells as quickly as possible. Every second counts. That was 2,900 damage, 1,200 spotting damage, and 3 kills. This tank is a VK-101P. This is a German Tier 8 heavy tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 2,300 spotting damage in this game. I'm going to get 2 kills in this game. This is actually a wonderful tank. One of the great things about this tank is that the armor is very strong on all sides, so you're going to bounce a lot of enemy shots without trying. The other thing that I've discovered is that all of my heavily armored tanks I get higher average experience than in general. They're my best tanks. So you're going to probably get a higher EXP by playing a heavily armored tank such as this one. The tank is somewhat slow, so if you have any options to run any fuel consumables, you might want to do so if there are any available. I don't know if they are available for this particular tank. Now you might wonder, why am I not going up the hill? The reason why is because I don't like to take the easy positions. I like to take more adventurous positions. I like to take a unique position where I can give my team an advantage. We already have 4 tanks up on that hill, and adding another tank doesn't really give us an advantage. But if I can flank around, what I'm going to try and do is spot enemy tanks. I knock these trees down because there's a possibility that I might sit here and snipe. You want to knock as many trees down. It's very difficult to double bush with a large tank in this area. Once a tank is on the crest of that hill, they're going to be very difficult to snipe, but if they go over the hill or if they're on the approach heading up the hill, they are exposed. So you can see that we've got 3 enemy tanks in front of me. It is possible to spot from this position, however, it is very difficult. There's other positions, depending on what tank you play. Depending on what tank you play, you're going to get better spotting. The problem with these large tanks is that you have to be further from the enemy, because if you get close enough to the enemy, you're going to get spotted, you're going to get lots of incoming artillery fire, etc. Okay, so I got my first kill in the game. I did spotting damage on the Scorpion G, which was 210, and I got 180 damage on the VK-45. You'll notice that the enemy has left the hill. They appear to have given up their positions on the hill. So I decided to approach the midfield. There is a hill that you... Right now I'm going over the crest of a hill, so if you are further south or north, you can't shoot at the targets on the opposite end of the map. You have to get onto the middle of the field in order to do so. With this type of a tank, because it's so large, you got to approach very slowly. There's a trick that you can use with the R key. Most people use the R key to go full speed forward, but you can go at a third speed forward and approach slowly, and if you get spotted, you can stop immediately. Or if you spot the enemy tanks, you can stop immediately. See a lot of bushes in front of me. Haven't been spotted yet. I'm up to 1,000 spotting damage. Now I'm up to 1,600 spotting damage. You can see that the AMX AC-48 is also following along with me in the midfield. We only know of one enemy tank on this side of the map. I could fire my gun, or I could wait for my allies to shoot. Ideally, I want my allies to shoot so I don't get spotted. Now, the AMX that was riding along with me, he's the one that took out that SPG. Okay, so I got spotted, so now I'll fire if I want to. It won't affect whether I get spotted. So we know that there's an artillery on my side of the map, and I'm pinging the mini-map showing my allies that there's another tank. I got 2,300 spotting damage, and I did 630 damage. And I'm reminding my team that there's another tank out there. And there he is. Scores 8-1. I'm up to 900 damage, 2,300 spotting damage. And I got 2 kills. Because this is a slow tank, it's very difficult to run around the field and clean up, so it's unlikely that I'm going to do any more damage. It's unlikely that I'm going to get any more damage or kills or anything else in this particular game. But this is a typical maneuver that you can use with this tank. Obviously, it works best if there's fewer artillery. We easily won on the east side. On the west side, they did not advance. Scores 13-1. But it shows you that even with a large, heavy tank, you can still drive in that center area. You can still put pressure on the enemy team. You don't have to go up on that hill like everyone else does. Missed that shot, which is too bad. And that's the game.